Hi, my name's Lisa Tate. I am a journalist who has been working on the Epstein case. You can find me on Twitter at Lisa Podcasts. But today I am going to talk to you about something that, in my opinion, is chilling in how normal it appeared to be for the people who worked for Epstein. And I found a document which was in relation to Lesley Groff, who worked for Epstein from 2001 to 2019. She ran his schedule and she scheduled the massages. Now, this is her proffer, which is the Queen for a Day thing where you come in and you meet with the DOJ and the FBI and whoever else may be there. But this was her proffer that she did in 2021. So we're going to go through what Epstein's executive assistant told the FBI. And I want you to listen about the details of the power structure. This is why I think it's worth going into the proffer, because it tells us who made the decisions, but also how they were executed. Because everyone is lying to us, as we all know. I haven't heard anyone else discuss this proffer with Lesley Groff. And when I read it, I was like, oh my goodness, that is the power structure. So you're going to hear about Ghislaine Maxwell as the cultural enforcer, Groff as the operational core, and the attorneys in the office, who we don't hear enough about. But I think it's important to note that from the beginning, massage was part of Epstein's day. And Lesley Groff made those appointments in New York primarily. There were lists of masseuses. Money was sometimes messengered in envelopes, and there were black books absolutely everywhere. So here we go. We're going to start with Lesley Groff and what she told the FBI and their report of the proffer. Date of entry, it is the 24th of September 2021. And it's the Federal Bureau of Investigations. And it starts with Lesley Groff, date of birth, retracted, was interviewed pursuant to a proffer agreement at 39 Broadway Suite, 1610, New York, New York. Present for the proffer was Groff's attorney, Michael Bashner. Also present for the proffer was the Assistant United States Attorneys. Their names are taken out and removed, along with Special Agent Redacted. After being advised of the identity of the above-listed individuals and the nature of the interview, Groff provided the following information. Groff is in retirement with her husband. Groff has a son. Groff enjoys exercising and listening to books on tape. Groff resigned in July 2019 from working for Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein in brackets. Although, now this is just me, Lisa, I have a look, I'll put a link in the show notes. I asked her attorney some questions, and after she worked for Epstein, she worked for a few months for Epstein's lawyers, the in-house lawyer counsel. Groff started working for Epstein in February 2001. Groff attended college in North Texas and is a UTD graduate. Groff lived in Texas, then met a man who lived in New Jersey, which caused her to move to the area. Groff worked for 9 years at an office supply company. Groff then divorced. Groff then worked at Nordstrom. Groff met her current husband at a triathlon. Groff was working at Nordstrom at the time. Groff wanted to be an event planner and thought Wall Street would be a great place to work. A headhunter, Russell, found her resume on Monster. Groff was looking at a job to work for the Knicks, but it was taken. Groff met with Russell and he told her that there was a job to organize one man's life. This man was Epstein, a Manhattan socialite. Groff had never heard of Epstein before this. Groff interviewed for the position. Groff interviewed with 3 names, all removed, who was Ghislaine Maxwell's assistant at the time. Then Groff interviewed with Maxwell before interviewing with Epstein the next day when he was in town. Groff interviewed at 457 Madison on the 4th floor. This location was part of a palace. Now, this is Lisa here. 457, that were Epstein's offices as opposed to his home on 71st Street. Groff was in the front office before going into Epstein's office. Groff met with all three people on the same day. It was a normal interview about being an executive assistant. During the interview, the phone kept ringing. Epstein would talk, then hang up. It seemed to be a very vibrant office. Groff had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. If Groff spoke about business people, which Groff thought included Les Wexner, she would owe him $100,000. Groff had never seen anything like the non-disclosure agreement before working for Epstein. Groff had her own office at the back. Others that worked at the office were two attorneys, an assistant, a trader, a travel assistant. They're all removed, those names, redacted. Maxwell came in and out of the office. Epstein did not work a 9-to-5 schedule. Epstein gave Groff pages including a call list, who he wanted to see and appointments. Groff had to reorganise and shift things. At the time, Groff made all phone calls, including calling the driver, chef, and other people. Groff had 2 phones on her desk. It was hectic. Groff was told that mistakes were not tolerated. It was challenging. Groff liked that. Sometimes Groff went home in tears, sometimes for messing up his day. Groff felt it was pretty important to see all the people Epstein dealt with in politics, television, etc. Groff felt, wow. Prior to working for Epstein, she never knew people who owned a plane, etc. Groff found out about Maxwell's father and life. Groff felt like their, in brackets, Epstein and Maxwell lives were the lifestyle of the rich and famous. Groff described getting into the office. She would have to go in through the palace and go straight through the hotel portion. The left side was where Epstein's office was located. Groff thought on the 4th floor was where the office was located. There were other businesses in the building. They had a view of the 5th Avenue Cathedral. Once off of the elevator, there was a desk for a receptionist. Groff could not remember if this was there the day she left. After going straight, there would be a large office for 2 accountants and the trader. The accountant was Eric Gainley, who had an assistant accountant, Bella Klein. The trader was Harry Bella. The person who was Epstein's assistant would be at the receptionist desk. Someone was always there, and it changed over time. There was redacted, 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 and redacted. The controller was Imad Hanna. When Gainey left, he was replaced by Richard Kahn. To the right of the office were the attorneys, Darren Endyke and Jeff Shantz. Straight back was Groff's office. Towards the left was Epstein's office, and towards the right was the desk for Maxwell and her assistant, redacted. Lauren Quitner was an assistant to the attorneys. There was a desk for redacted, which changed to redacted, redacted when redacted left. Epstein wanted an estate manager, which kept turning over. There were a lot of people in the office. They first started building Maxwell's house. After her house was built, she moved her and her assistant to her house. Maxwell was maybe at the office once a week and brought her dog Max. Full-time employees included attorneys, Quitner, redacted, and people in the front office. Groff worked 9 to 5 through Friday. For the first couple of years, Groff then became pregnant and had a son and was off for about 3 to 4 months. Redacted took over while Groff was on maternity leave. Approximately a year and a half later, Maxwell's assistant left and redacted moved back to being her assistant. Groff started a job share where she worked Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and redacted worked Monday and Friday. Epstein would leave New York Friday and return Monday night. Epstein wanted Groff there to do the call list. Epstein called in the morning to schedule business meetings, architects, designers. When Groff would think he was done, he'd decide he'd want to do it all over again. Groff remembered seeing an invoice of a carpet for an airplane that was more than she made. Back then, Groff did not use email. Epstein called constantly. Epstein told her to call a certain individual and that she'd want an immediate call back. Groff relayed messages, make or break appointments, and contact houses. Groff would have Jojo, he's one of Epstein's employees, sit outside certain locations. Groff made appointments for lunch dates, but he did not like. People would come eat, but he would not eat. Epstein did not like wasting time. The first time Epstein laid into Groff was when she moved an appointment and forgot to tell the other person. Epstein did not let it go. Groff ruined his entire day, saying he can't get that time back. Groff would tell the pilot when Epstein wanted to leave. For example, Groff would tell the pilot he would, quote, want to leave tomorrow at 4 p.m. to Palm Beach. Groff did not make airline reservations at the time. Redacted made those reservations then. Epstein told Groff to tell Redacted to make the reservations. A lot of people travelled on Epstein's plane. Epstein might tell Groff. The lingo he used was, quote, do you need a ride? Groff would call and ask if he wanted friends, then Groff would call them. The pilot, Larry, needed to know. Groff would ask Epstein, then she would relay the information to Larry. Sometimes Epstein told Groff, who was travelling with him, and other times he told Larry, and I should have mentioned, my apologies, it's Larry Vasovsky, the pilot. Groff talked with Epstein when he was away. Epstein often travelled with Maxwell. The first year, Redacted travelled often with them as well, then Redacted travelled with them. The assistants travelled with Epstein. Ted Meister, I think this might be Todd, was on the plane a lot. He liked to go to Palm Beach. Maxwell and Redacted were usually on the plane with Epstein. Maxwell travelled quite a bit. Groff thought Maxwell did her own things as well. Groff was not Maxwell's assistant and did not see her as much. Maxwell was a big part of Epstein's life. Maxwell introduced Epstein to a lot of people in her circle. This was Groff's perception because Groff knew her background. Groff's impression was that she knew that was how Epstein met royalty, through Maxwell. Maxwell did not talk to Groff. Groff never had normal conversations with Maxwell or Epstein. Maxwell told Groff she was not to engage in frivolous conversation with Epstein. If Groff bought movie tickets for Epstein, she was not allowed to ask if he liked the movie the next day. Groff did not have a lot to do with the Clinton trip. Maxwell dealt with the details. Groff's perception was that Maxwell knew Clinton first, but Groff did not know for sure. Groff recalled a conversation with Maxwell in the very beginning, probably around Groff's first week. Maxwell told her, quote, you're here to work. Maxwell told her that Epstein did not need extra conversation and she was not allowed to fraternize on the phone, that the people she spoke to were Epstein's friends, not Groff's friends. Groff found this similar to Wall Street in that she could not fraternize. Groff was asked to go to a party. This was probably within the first month of working for Epstein. Groff went to the party with her husband, who knew other Wall Street people. Epstein found out and, quote, torched her the following Monday. Epstein told Groff he was going to fire her, but he put her on probation instead. Groff had to keep herself totally separate. It made sense to Groff, so she never did it again. From the beginning, massage was a part of Epstein's day. There were normal appointments. Groff thought Maxwell told her Epstein had to have a massage every day. Redacted and Redacted trained Groff too, but Groff thought Maxwell told her that. It was presented like it was totally normal. Redacted and Redacted had been there prior to Groff, and no one seemed like it was out of the ordinary. Groff's job was to make appointments. To Groff, making massage appointments was just another appointment she had to make for Epstein. Epstein would call Groff in the morning and say something like, call Redacted and see if she can do a massage at 4. Epstein would then call Groff every 15 minutes. If Groff told Epstein she could not get Redacted, he would tell Groff to call someone else instead. There was a directory of contacts, not just massage people. Anyone could go in and update the list. Everyone had access. It was kept on the computer in an old, antiquated system. Groff thought it was just a file on the computer. They used PCs, not Apple computers. They had a message sheet and a directory. There was an IT guy who came in every so often if they had computer problems. When Groff was told to call someone, she would pull the phone number from the directory. Epstein gave Groff a name and phone number, but if the person had been around for a while, the number would be in the computer. For massages in New York at Epstein's residence, Groff scheduled for New York. Groff thought she may have scheduled massages for Epstein's Palm Beach residence, but not as much. When Epstein left New York and took an assistant with him, the assistant took over the daily things in Palm Beach, New Mexico, and Paris. Groff had a call list every day of people she had to call for Epstein. Outside New York, Groff did not know who scheduled the massage appointments. Groff did not recall specifically making appointments outside of New York, but stated that it was possible. Groff definitely made appointments in New York. Groff thought Maxwell made an extra book. Groff described the book as super thick, that it was printed in larger type to see. It was a little black book. Maxwell had them printed and bound. Groff thought she wanted to have them on the plane or next to the phones. Groff recalled seeing one on her desk, that's Groff's desk. Black books were around. There was one on Groff's desk when she started working there. They were next to Epstein's phones on his desk. Groff did not know why she associated the books with Maxwell. They were there before Groff worked there. Groff thought the books had been updated. Groff did not know where they were printed. Groff thought the books had been updated. Groff did not know where they were printed. Groff did not use the books. She used the computer. Groff thought the books were everywhere, but maybe not in the accounting office. The books were at his homes. They were on the desk in rooms. There were a lot of important people in the books with their phone numbers, including politicians, actors, Wall Street individuals, and royalty. Groff was not supposed to take the book home. Groff thought the book fizzled out. It made sense that Epstein wanted them next to his phone. It was a tool for contacts. The book went away, but Groff did not know when this happened. They changed over to Mac computers. Epstein wanted to keep things simple. Epstein wanted a list of dentists, scientists, etc. Groff did not think she was there when the directory was first made, but was not sure. Maxwell was an office manager and had stationery made. Maxwell may have asked to have them made. Groff thought she was assuming that Maxwell made them. Agent note. At this point in the interview, Groff was shown a document with a list of names and contact information. This document is attached in 1A. Groff advised, "This looks like people he'd contact." Groff did not recognise this specific document, but it looked like something Groff could have typed up. Groff recognised the names on the document. It seemed typical of when Epstein would travel. A Word document possibly could have been Groff, who copied and pasted from the directory to Word. Using a Mac computer, Groff could copy and paste, but she did not think she could copy and paste to Word using older computers. This list of people's names and numbers was constant. Agent note. Groff was shown a document titled Masseuses. This document is attached in 1A. Groff advised that this document looked like something that would definitely be in the office that Epstein had asked to put together. There were other documents made for architects, etc. Groff advised this document did not look familiar. Groff did not recall making this document, but stated she was not saying she did not create it. Groff advised the document looked old. Groff recognised the names. To Groff, this was just another list. Groff recalled having to make a list of all the TED speakers when she started. These lists printed out would be more for Epstein to take with him. Groff used the directory more. Agent note, Groff was shown a document with title Masseuses from Jan, Jan. This document is attached in 1A. Groff's first thought was that Jan meant January. New user on the document was not significant to Groff. The document stated last saved by Lesley Groff. Groff advised this looked like a list she could have put together. This was definitely something Epstein would have wanted. It looked like something Groff could have done, but she could not recall the specific list. Groff made a lot of lists. If Epstein travelled out of town, he would want to see people. Sometimes he would tell Groff to add new people. If he went to Harvard, he would want a list of professors he would want to talk with while there. When Groff would call to schedule massage appointments, she would say something like, quote, "Hi, how are you? Mr. Epstein is in New York and he's wanting to know if you can give him a massage at 4. The phone calls were short and to the point. A lot of times when Groff called, the females were at casting calls and they would not know how long they'd be, so they would have to call Groff back. When Epstein would call back for his massages, he would tell Groff to forget that last one and call something redacted in quotation marks. Groff would call someone else and sometimes have to leave a message. Sometimes Groff heard street noises in the background. Groff called females and one male masseuse. Groff distinctly remembered females being on casting calls because it was annoying, because she wanted to get on with her day and could not because she had to schedule a massage appointment. Scheduling massage appointments was about 1% of Groff's job. Groff left a lot of messages. People would not answer their phones. Sometimes people called Groff, asking to see Epstein for a massage. Everyone wanted to see him. Anytime Groff called someone, not just massage people, people just jumped to meet with Epstein. Groff thought Epstein was a money manager. His biggest client was Wexner. Groff knew this from the beginning because of the non-disclosure agreement she had to sign. Groff thought Epstein had other clients. Groff thought Epstein was doing some trades. Epstein would tell Groff to get someone. He did not have the number of a trader. Groff had anxiety trying to get a trader. Epstein did a lot with politics. Epstein was a generous person who gave to charity tables and wanted to be anonymous. Epstein seemed very busy. Epstein had an interest in decorating. Groff was floored by the contacts he had all over the world. Groff was impressed by that. Groff had to learn how to dial overseas numbers. Maxwell was an office manager. This was how Groff was introduced to Maxwell. Maxwell was Epstein's best friend. Groff saw Epstein torch Maxwell at times. He was angry with her. Epstein got mad at his attorneys in the office. Sometimes Maxwell left with her head down. Groff did not like hearing Epstein yell at Chance, but he did not walk out defeated. Epstein and Maxwell were confidants. Groff knew Epstein built Maxwell her house. Groff thought redacted told her this. It was just bought and under construction. Groff thought Epstein and Maxwell were boyfriend and girlfriend. They were very carefree. They did not spend every moment together. Groff thought Epstein cared for Maxwell and she cared for him. Epstein and Maxwell did not live together. Groff did not know where Maxwell was living while her house was being built. When Groff first started, Maxwell helped with the rules. Maxwell told her when Epstein calls Groff to give requirements, if Groff did not understand something, to stop him then and do not wait until the end because it will make Epstein mad. Epstein was famous for talking under his breath and mumbling. Groff did not have normal conversations with Maxwell. Groff did not talk to Maxwell about her wedding, that is, Lesley's wedding, or when she was pregnant. Maxwell would come and go from the office and bring her dog into the office. Maxwell had her own driver. There was a guy who was the driver and a girl who was the maid. Looking back, Groff did not know how much managing Maxwell actually did. When Maxwell's house was being built, that was her priority. Maxwell was in the office next to Groff. Agent note, at this point in the interview, Groff was shown a black book. This book is 1A-9 in case file 72MM113327. Groff advised this book did not look like the one she saw. The one Groff saw had larger writing. It was the same size, but she remembered it had a thicker binding. Groff thought it was probably the same information inside. The information would have been in the directory. To Groff's recollection, it looked the same. Groff recalled the directory was alphabetical. Groff did not have conversations with Maxwell about massages. Groff worked 9 to 5. Epstein did not contact Groff on the weekends. Groff mentioned Maxwell called Bella, who was from Russia, about the KGB. I've read this before and I forgot. Wow. Okay, that's me, Lisa, by the way. Read it again. Groff remembered Maxwell called Bella, who was from Russia, about the KGB. Maxwell had to check every invoice. Maxwell smiled and was happy, except when Epstein got upset with her. Maxwell talked to everyone. It seemed business related. Redacted travelled with Maxwell on Epstein's plane. Epstein and Maxwell were volatile. One moment Epstein would be screaming, and the next he was down to business. Maxwell tended to carry it and leave. Groff thought the whole office seemed happy, like the employees were happy. And it was a nice place to work. Sometimes Groff was asked to messenger money for massages, and sometimes Jojo, that's the driver, took money for the massages to give to people. Epstein sent everything by messenger. Epstein sent things by FedEx. Groff got the money from accounting and would sometimes pay someone around $100. Groff would type a message to Bella. Groff thought Bella had the petty cash box. Bella put money in an envelope, then it would be put in a messenger box. Jojo or messenger would pick it up. This did not happen all the time, but rather some of the time. No one came to the office to pick up money except Jojo or a messenger. Groff never went to Epstein's house until 2013. Groff went to Epstein's Island. Groff was at a wedding at Tortola. Groff was told by Epstein she should go to the island. Epstein was not at the island when she went. Miles, well, this is weird, isn't it? She's not allowed to have conversations with Epstein. So how did he know that she was going to that wedding? Miles and Kathy Alexander fed Groff and her husband lunch, and then they went back. Groff went on a trip to London with her husband. Epstein said they could stay at a guest room in Paris. They stayed there for a couple of nights, then went back to London. Groff did not go to the New Mexico ranch. Groff did not travel with Epstein. So that's all we've got from the proffer. Queen for a day, as they say. So there were no headlines, no spin, and only a little bit of commentary. They were her words. If you find value in hearing these type of documents read in full without interruption, please subscribe here, like and subscribe, because I'll be doing more of these. There are other documents. So, for example, there is Larry Visofsky, who is Epstein's pilot, and there are two of the alleged co-conspirators. I can't 100% tell who they are at the moment because there's significant redactions, no doubt because they are saying that they're victims of Jeffrey Epstein. And when you read, however, what the inner circle was saying behind closed doors, you start to understand how this hideous machine truly operated. Leave your thoughts below. I'll make sure I'll read everything. And my name is Lisa Tate, and this is The Receipts. Have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye.